What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest channel and podcast. This is going to be a little bit of a conversation. I'm on the way into my business this morning, and the YouTube news has been really busy talking about Kevin Samuels. I started hearing that he possibly passed away yesterday, and at the time it was just a rumor. It wasn't confirmed when I was hearing about it, which was yesterday afternoon, when I was actually getting finished with my day with clients in the business, and I started hearing about it, and I'm like, I don't know. And it has been confirmed. So definitely, I will say condolences to whoever his loved ones were, whoever his family members were. And as I'm speaking, like I said, this is a conversation. I'm on the way into my business this morning. And, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because there's going to be a lot of discussion, I would probably say, over the next several weeks to probably the next several months, because there are people that really loved the man, really, really loved Kevin Samuels, and I would say it would be predominantly African-American single men. That's just from what my perspective is, from what I saw, that's what it looked like to me. As his real fans were African-American men who love to hear someone speak about African-American women, putting them in their place is, pretty much what I'll say. And then there are people who absolutely despise this man. There were people who were pushing for him to be deplatformed and to be removed from YouTube. There was a petition that I guess it was not successful. But this is what I wanted to talk about because, again, like I said, there are going to be a lot of people talking about this man over the next several weeks to the next probably several months that are going to be discussing him. I never followed him. I was never subscribed to his channel, and I'm grateful for my life. I'm definitely grateful for my life. Is my life perfect? No, but there was never a need for me to listen to that type of rhetoric or information, if you want to call it that he shared, because the women who seemed to follow him were women who were looking for what he called high value man, and women who felt that they deserved to be in a relationship with a man that was living a certain type of lifestyle and making a certain type of income. But here's what I will say about Kevin Samuels, and not just about Kevin Samuels, but just about life in general. We always hear after someone passes away that life is short, you need to cherish life. And his platform was his platform, so he made his money the way that he made it, talking about the things that he discussed. So he made his money. That's how he really grew to more popularity and more fame, when he had the viral moment telling a woman that said she wanted to be with a man who made six figures, calling her average at best, and saying that you're going to die alone if you're thinking that you're going to be with the type of man that you want to be with. I don't know Kevin Samuels, his life or lifestyle, if he was in a relationship with anyone or not, or if he had the opportunity to be married. I believe he was divorced, or maybe just had children outside of, not, I don't want to say outside of a marriage, but did not have children in a marriage. I don't really know a whole lot about his background or his history, but I believe what I heard was that he was divorced and that he either has a child or children. But the same thing that he got famous, or I wouldn't even say famous, but infamous for telling women that, they were going to die alone. It's sad, but it kind of looks like that's what his end was. It looks like he died alone. And I don't, and listen, I'm not saying that to be disparaging. I really am not. But what I wanted to discuss is just the value that people put on things, especially when it comes to being in a relationship. A lot of the things that he was sharing, even though it may have been some of the things that women were looking for, which was having a man with status and with influence and definitely with money is that, yeah, you could be in a relationship with someone with those things, but is that a healthy relationship? Is there really love there? And I've never really heard anything about love. And I do believe that there is a lot in that genre of whatever that platform is called, where you are having primarily African American women being spoken about in a way that can be seen as disparaging, but a lot of men who would agree with him would say, well, the women, they need to be spoken about that way, or they need to be put in a place, or they're this or they're that. Listen, I don't count myself in any of it. I've been married for over 20 some odd years. I'm blessed and grateful. I have a husband that did not listen to, that type of rhetoric either. And I believe that most married men, whether they're African American or not, didn't listen to that type of stuff either. I do believe that the majority of his audience were single black men and single black women who were looking to be in a relationship with a man that they felt was worthy of being in a relationship with them because of what they brought to the table financially or because of what they worked for. But there was not much about love. A lot of it was superficial stuff. And yes, important, because as long as you're living on this earth, you're going to need substances, I should say, and resources, which, is money and all of those different things in order to live here on this earth. But we are spirits that possess a soul and live in a human body, but it is temporary. And unfortunately for him, short-lived. 57 for some people who may be 17 or 27 even may seem old, but the longer you live, the more you recognize and realize that 57 really is not a lot of time here on this earth. And there are people who have only lived to be 20 years old. There are people who only lived to be 5 years old. I get it. But I don't know. I heard that he had COVID at one time, and in the day and age that we live in, hearing about someone passing away, it's really not a shock anymore, because one, for the most part, tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. The next moment isn't promised to anyone. Life is not promised to anyone. But if you do believe in the true and living God, which I do believe in, I do believe that you have the right to declare over your life that you have health, that you have long life, that you will be blessed and prosperous while you are here on this earth, even though you may go through some things. I don't know if in private he had any type of personal relationship with his maker, but it would be sad if he didn't, because 57 years old is really not that old. And yes, okay, he's become a millionaire maybe in the last year, or maybe a little bit longer than a year, but now you can't take it with you. You can't take it with you. And he wasn't married. And again, some people will say, well, he didn't want to be married. He was married before. I don't know. But I'm saying it's just kind of ironic that the things that he was talking about, and a lot of the things that he said to a lot of women, was that they were going to die alone. And it looks like he wound up doing that. So it's really sad. When I heard the news about it, when I heard the rumors, I should say, that he had passed away, I didn't think one way or another about it. I didn't think positively about it, and I didn't think negatively about it, because one, it wasn't confirmed. If news had came out that he was sick, I probably would have said in prayer in my spirit, because I don't wish for anyone to go through tragedies and tragic situations. I've gone through enough of them in my own life to say that I wouldn't wish certain things that I've gone through on my worst enemy. And I've learned to pray for my enemies, even if it's, Lord, allow them to reap what they have sown, however you choose for that to be. But it would not be me saying, Lord, strike them down, Lord, kill them, Lord, send them to hell, Lord, let their house burn down, let them lose their, like, I would never say those things, but I've learned to pray for my enemies. So I would never be one of those people that would celebrate someone being sick or someone losing their life. But I do believe that in life is seed time and harvest time. And the Bible talks about it. The Bible talks about how as long as earth exists, there will be seed time and harvest time. And it's not just the physical seeds that are being planted for crops to grow and things like that. We grow crops in our own lives. I don't know all of the seeds that he's sown in his life, but if he's hurt people, or if, you know, he's done some things and these are seeds that he's planted, at some point you reap a harvest in your life. And again, I'm not saying that's what happened to him because I don't know, but I'm saying this because, one, he can't hear it. So his spirit lives forever, wherever that will be. I don't know. But his body, it no longer exists here on this earth. Our spirit gives life. So we really have to be cognizant and careful about the seeds that we plant in life, not just in our lives, but in life, because you will reap a harvest. And again, I'm not celebrating it. I'm not. I don't know him. I never would wish anyone to lose someone that they loved, because I'm assuming that, I don't know if his parents are alive, but if they are, he has parents. He may have siblings or definitely, other relatives. So they lost someone suddenly. It wasn't like this was someone that was on dialysis or anything like that. I lost someone last year, and she was someone that was a mentor to me, that I really loved. She was only about 10 years older than I was, but just in wisdom, it just seemed like she was, I don't know, in her 80s or 90s. She was a very wise person and just truly, truly loved God. And someone that if I needed some encouragement, I could just reach out to her and she would pray for me or pray with me. And she suddenly lost her life last year. I wasn't hoping for that. I wasn't expecting it, but she also was on dialysis. So it wasn't like this huge, and she also was waiting, on a kidney, because she needed a kidney transplant. And unfortunately, she did not make it to that point, but I'm grateful because she's no longer suffering. With Kevin Samuels, I don't know if he had been sick. I heard, like I said, he had COVID at one time, but as far as it looked like, I believe he was still creating content and still on his platform. So it wasn't like this was someone that had been diagnosed with cancer and was going through chemo and it had spread and other things like that. And it gave people time to sort of prepare in some ways. No, he died suddenly. People were not really expecting that. And an autopsy has not been done at this point. Nothing has really come out to say exactly what he died of at this point. So that, I'm sure, will eventually come out. If it's even any of our business, because who's to say that we should know that? We didn't know him personally, so it honestly really isn't any of our business. But with all of those things being said, I would just like to say that I believe the legacy of Kevin Samuels, for most people, they need to look at it and say, is this the same type of fate that I want to have, where I'm just looking at the superficial things over the things that really mean more than that? And I was listening, and I'm not going to say the YouTube channel. Actually, I listened to a few different content creators yesterday, and some of them were doing lives and having people call in and discuss things. And I mean, honestly, I was just sitting there shaking my head, because it's amazing how divisive the community of African American men and women, who for the most part are single, for the most part. I'm not saying that no one that listened to him was married, because I'm sure there was some people that did. I just don't know many. I didn't. My husband didn't. But anyway, it's amazing how divisive the community is, where it's to the point where you see men in the comment section or say things about these women, and I don't see that in other ethnic groups. I don't see Asian men sitting there despising and speaking negatively about Asian women. I don't see that in other ethnic groups. I just named one, but I'm sure, I'm just saying it's really crazy how angry some people really are. And I do believe that he assisted in some of that. So it's like, is this his legacy? Where he coined the phrase, you are going to die alone and you're average at best. Two pretty negative statements, and he's gone. And the millions that he made recently, okay, what is the legacy of that? Is there someone that's going to pick up his torch or his mantle and continue on in that, what I believe is empty rhetoric? And I'm sure there are other content creators that are willing to step in, slide in, and pick up where he left off, because it's going to profit them. But it's like the Bible says, what is a profit of man to gain the whole world but lose your soul? And it looks like, in my opinion, based on what was shared and what we see, that's what has happened. He gained a lot. He gained a lot in this span of the last few years, even though he had been doing content creation for many years prior to him going viral. But now the virility and the millions, he's no longer here. So what is the legacy of Kevin Samuels? I would just really love to know what your thoughts are. I just wanted to share a little bit of what I thought and my views on his untimely passing, and how divisive it really is. It's not okay for anyone to celebrate the death of anyone. So if there are people doing that, it is definitely shameful, but you can't tell people what to do. You can suggest, you can make comments, but you can't really tell people what to do or how to react. I, again, don't celebrate anyone's death, but I will say that the legacy of Kevin Samuels is one that I feel like he maybe should have thought a little bit more about before deciding to go in the direction of just full on, I hate to use this word, but of, full on attack of the women who dared to call into his show and ask him for advice. Because when he's done interviews, he claimed that he has helped women to get married because they listen to his advice and things like that. But there's a real way to go about that if you really want to help people in relationships. And I don't believe that that was what he was truly doing. And I get it. What you get your views on, you kind of figure out, okay, well, this is my niche. This is what I need to stick to in order to get these views and make this money. But I wonder if he would have continued doing things the way that he did it if he knew that his time was going to be wrapping up pretty shortly. And it did. So I just really want to know what you guys think about this. You can let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section. But what do you feel the legacy of Kevin Samuels is or will be? And in my opinion, I feel that what he said is somewhat famous for him, or maybe infamous last words: you will die alone. So guys, those are just my thoughts as I have this conversation headed to the business today. I hope you all have a great day. So guys, this is Beth, and thank you so much for listening, subscribing, and as always, I'm just being beautifully honest.